Okay, so if you'd like to stand up, guys. So the challenge is to try and explain the purpose of each warm-up exercise. And for me, it starts before I do that. I think, and I've said this many times before, that the warm-up exercises don't really warm up your body. I think they're as much about warming up your mind, preparing you to learn something, particularly when you're going onto the mat, particularly when you're trying to get something out of maybe a new teacher, or you want to achieve something that you haven't achieved before. So Ken Williams always used to say, turn up at least half an hour beforehand, get changed, do some exercises on the mat, and then sit and wait for the teacher to turn up so that you're mentally prepared to just receive. You don't want to turn up 5 minutes before, be all stressed, hot, sweaty, oh my God, am I going to beat the teacher onto the mat, and all that sort of stuff. So I think the warm-ups are very much a mental thing. So a lot of it for me is mental, and a lot of the exercises that we do, they're physical and they're mental. So you're extending your ki. And I keep on saying this to my students, I really do extend my ki. And I will explain what I mean by that when we go through.
I was going to say, okay, define extend ki in everyday terms.
Okay, in everyday terms. So if where you look, that's where your focus of attention goes. And that's where your energy goes. So if I want to pick up the remote control, which is over here on this desk, I've got to think about it, and then I've got to physically go and do it. So my intention and my focus of attention is on the remote, and I've put it back. So if when you want to extend your ki, if I'm pointing at Quentin, I'm imagining that I'm touching Quentin. My feeling is going out to Quentin. I'm touching the second button down on his shirt. And I'm strongly thinking that's my intention, to touch his button, as if it was a laser light. And I am. In my mind, I am. And for me, that's extending ki. It's an imaginative process where you have a flow of something that leaves you and goes somewhere. Quentin?
And what's the benefit of that?
What's the benefit of that? That's a really good point. So historically, if you go back to the teachings of Tohei, when there were 4 principles that allowed you to have your mind and body coordinated. One was to relax completely. Another one was to be centered. Another one was to extend your ki. And another one was to think of the weight on the underside of your body parts. We've interpreted that as to work with gravity. But originally it was to think of weight underside. And we were always told that there were 4 ways up the mountain, 4 ways to get coordination of mind and body. And a lot of people find extending ki is an easy one. A lot of people found that relaxing completely was an easy one. Centering and thinking of your weight underside, they sometimes found more difficult. Because you can paint a picture like, imagine you're holding a Star Wars sword, or your arm is a Star Wars sword. And with a little bit of imagination, suddenly you're extending ki almost by default. So the advantage of extending ki is you become coordinated. Your body is relaxed but powerful, which is a bit of a dichotomy. It's no, not a dichotomy. What is it when it's a bit
paradox?
Oxymoron.
Well, an oxymoron. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's an oxymoron because you're relaxed, but you can't be moved. You can't be lifted. You feel very solid, but you feel incredibly relaxed. And if you say relaxed in America, they automatically translate English relaxed into dead relaxed. So, oh God, I've forgotten his name. Ohio with MS.
Paul
Linden. always, if I say, oh, you know, relax completely, he'll call me up on it. He'll say, no, that's dead relaxed. That's no good to me. That paints a crappy picture in my head. So he won't have that. So in terms of our first exercise, where we're just extending arms around the body, so you're moving from your center, which is one of the 4 principles. So you're moving, and your arms are twisting around your body, and I'm sending ki out, and it's a two count move. So it's 1, and you stretch, and then you come back a little bit, and then you stretch a little bit more. So it's a physical warm up, and then it's a mental warm up. So you're stretching a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So why the count of 4? Why do we do it in 2s?
Okay, well, it's just two to the left. So I just explained the count is 1, 2. So you take up the slack, come back a little bit more, and go a little bit more. So that's 1, 2 allows you to get the most out of the physical stretch. And the 3, 4 is because you do the same on the other side. So there's a balance to the body.
Okay, so I always, my take on that was, I was always told it was 1 for the body, 1 for the mind.
Okay, well,
so
that's fair enough.
Where your body goes, and then you relax some more, and then you can take the body a bit further.
Okay, so I think it works for both of those things. So it's you naturally stretch, and then you relax, and you stretch a bit more. So there's the physical bit, and it's a 1, 2, and then 1 for the body, 1 for the mind. That's cool too. So we'll do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do it in 3s because you like 3s. 3, 4. So then there's a little sequence of these. So there's around the body, side of the body, back and forwards. So the principles are all very similar. The stretches are slightly different. So now you're stretching this part of the body. So that's the stretch. Obviously, the inside is quite relaxed. And again, you're extending your ki through the top hand, and you're stretching down, and my ki is going down to my feet. So there's 2 directions of ki, 1, 2, and then you change direction. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you should feel the stretch. 3, 4. And now it's backwards and forwards. And when you're going forwards, you're sending your ki through your legs. You've got soft knees. Again, it's 1, 2. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you probably could. Okay, so it's back first. So it's 1, 2, ki's gone back, and now forwards through your legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's another little extra thing that with that sequence, because we have as I've said, there are sequences. Just like I often relate when I'm teaching kata to music, and I say that there are like little phrases that repeat. So when you're doing the Jo kata, you've got 1, 2, and then that will come back again. And then when you're doing the pokes, there are little phrases in the kata that repeat. So there are 3 sequences here, and they relate to the lines in the body. So you've got the twist of the body, which is this center line. So you're turning around that center line. You've got this sideways motion, and then you've got the backwards and forwards motion. So you've got the line across the body, you've got the line down your body, and you've got the line this way across the body. So those 3 lines are quite important, and we're stretching in all of those directions. Right, and then we do the head is the same. And I like to put my hands on my hips. And again, when I do these, my ki is going out that way. So it's stretch, come back, stretch, stretch, come back, stretch. And I'm thinking of the ki energy going out of the top of my head. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're trying to keep all of the rest of your body. It's a stretch for your neck, not for your body. So now we're doing the top half, the neck. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to go forwards and backwards, which is very like the forwards and backwards of the previous exercise. Again, there's this arc of ki. So I'm not just thinking down, I've got this arc, a semicircular arc when I do this. And now arms around the body. We're doing, the head is around to the side and then back the other way. So again, it's those same 3 directions. And it's to loosen up the neck, because the neck is one of the areas in your body where, particularly in modern life, we get so stiff because we're shoulders crunched up, necks crunched up because we were sitting at a computer all day. And then I like to do 3 rotations all the way around, left and right. Slowly, you've got to be careful on the way back. And again, I'm extending ki out of my head, and be careful not to raise your shoulders. So this isn't lift your shoulders and do it, it's keep your shoulders low. And again, it's a neck exercise. It's not involving the shoulders at all.
So as we put our head back, be careful. And everybody
Exactly.
I think, why does he say that? Because I can't see why that bit's any more dangerous than any other bit.
Okay, so if you speak to a chiropractor or a physio, if you throw your head back, you can damage the joints at the top of the neck, and obviously you've got the spinal cord running down through there, and you don't want to do that to yourself. So yeah, Finn.
I remember leading a music workshop and doing some warm-ups, and I just threw in that one, roll your head around, and then somebody was really scathing and said that you should never roll your head right back like that. And so I've always been a bit anxious about that. Is that, do you think there's a case there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And people are warned not to do it. So what I say is, you've got those different movements in your neck. I mean, it's you know, is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. But you can rotate your head in all directions, and that's actually a nice stretch. But what you don't want to do is throw your head back, or when you come back again, throw your head back, because you can actually put your joints out of place. And you know, I used to get that when I was younger. I don't anymore. It's my lower back that suffers. But you just got to be careful with your own neck, because it is a delicate bit of your body. So it's a health and safety, really, Quen. Right. So next one is shoulders. I like to just, shoulders as an area where you can really stiffen up. And I think it's really good. And then I just bring the arms into it. And then when I'm up, I'm trying to keep my shoulders down, but I also extending my ki out in all directions through my hands particularly.
Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. But it's quite interesting to do it by actually physically lifting your shoulders. It's amazing how tiring it is to sort of really lift them up lots of times.
No, I think that's really good too, because then the reason why that's good is because you're consciously doing it, and you're not having raised shoulders by default. So when you're consciously doing it, you're exercising and you're using your muscles, and there's expansion and contraction. What happens when you're in the office is your shoulders go up unbeknown to you, and you just have contraction. So yes, contraction, and you get stiff there. So that's not a good thing. But consciously doing it, so you're doing a warm up, is a really good thing. Okay, and then we go the other way, just in the view of balance. And again, you can lift your shoulders up, and a big movement.
I'm just checking in with Colin and Finn. You don't mind me keeping on interrupting like this, I hope. I'm just trying to milk the most of this.
You okay with it, guys? Yeah, good. Okay. So next we'll do the wrist. So essentially, although I started off by saying the warm-up is essentially a mental warm-up, and I strongly believe that, but I also do believe that you're warming up your body as well, because we use quite a lot of body parts, and For instance, if we're doing Ikkyo or Sankyo, you're going to be stretching your arm and shoulder joints. If you're doing Nikkyo or Kodogai or Sankyo, you're going to have your wrist joints stretched. So it's really good to just, I think there are two reasons why I do these as a warm-up. Is one, it's to warm my body up, get it used to the idea of having Nikkyo being done by me and then to me. And then the other reason is that I remember being told off by one student, is I want to strengthen my wrists. And the only way I can strengthen that is to build up that strength. And by slightly overdoing it, when I say overdoing it, I mean gently pushing myself to a limit where I'm comfortable and maybe a little bit beyond, I'm just building up the strength in my wrist. And I think my wrists are pretty strong now after nearly 40 years. Now, I like to do these exercises, as I've told you before. I do like the idea of moving your one point over your center, because that's a really pivotal thing within Aikido. And it's really good. The more you practice something, if you do it properly, then it becomes a habit. So what a lot of people tend to do when they do any movement that involves this type of stance, they do that. And I'm hoping it's looking like I'm leaning forward. Yeah, I'm strongly exaggerating. But in fact, we want to be here. So, you know, I'm straight.
Yeah.
Even if I go here, I can feel myself off balance. It doesn't feel comfortable. But if you practice that, then it will feel comfortable because it's normal. So I like to do this. And there are a number of reasons why. I've been told that the reason why a bloke wears a hakama is because then people can't see your feet move. And there are certain techniques where you don't want your opponent to see your foot move. So for instance, if you're looking at me, you can't see my lower body. Is my left foot forward or back? You can't tell. Because if it's in a hakama, you can't tell. So if I'm not moving my whole body, I'm not going, oh, I'm telegraphing it there. And the reason for that is because I'm getting power from my center. So there are times when I want to move my lower limbs without being obvious. And this is a way of practicing centering and balance. So I like to do that in conjunction with the wrist exercise. Okay, so we'll do them. So it's 1, 2, 3, and I'm sending the key back to my elbow on this one. 4, 5, and change. And I like to try and keep in balance in time. 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I'm doing this, I'm using the joints in the body. So if you notice, I'm dropping my elbow, and the weight of my elbow puts a little bit of pressure on me. And also I'm controlling, I know Quentin likes to do it finger to finger. I don't find that so comfortable. It's good because you're mirroring, and I like the mirroring, I really do. But for me, I quite like to be able to hold like that because I can feel I've got control over the amount of push. So I'm dropping my wrist naturally. As I drop my wrist, I'm applying slight pressure with my left hand in this instant. And then I accentuate that by letting my elbow drop, which gives me weight underside, which also applies more pressure. So if you drop your elbow, Finn, drop your left elbow, yes. It shouldn't be up here. It should just allow weight underside, yes.
It's worth noting, put your elbow up and then just slowly lower it and see what happens to the wrist as you do that.
Yeah, it definitely puts the Nikkyo on, doesn't it? Maybe point your fingers your fingers are pointing slightly forward, Finn. If you have them pointing more directly to your elbow, that's better. And now lift your elbow, left elbow, and now drop slowly. Do you feel, and relax your shoulder, drop your shoulder. You should feel Nikkyo come on. Yeah?
Your left shoulder could be more relaxed, Finn.
Yeah, put your mics on, Colin, as well.
Yeah, my mic's on.
Oh, good. Okay. Don't know who Oppo is. Okay, so Right, the next one we're going to do is, oh, hi, Dimitra. So I'll just give you a minute. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to do Kotegaish. Now again, with Kotegaish, you're dropping you've got a bend in your wrist, and again, it's gravity that's going to put the stretch to work, if you like. And I like to follow. We talked about lines. I like to follow this line. Okay. So, Dimitra, if you take your mic off, or unmute yourself, that's great. What
Yes, I just want to tell you, I just connected with my mobile phone because my computer just broke down.
Okay, no worries.
I'm connected with my mobile phone, so it's not so easy to...
Okay, no problem. Quentin's asked me to go through all of the warm-up exercises and explain why we do them and maybe how we do them. Okay, so we've really, we've been going for 20 minutes and we've only got about 8 exercises. Right, so I like to follow this key energy line down your body. So when you're doing this, you're not doing it to one side or the other. You're trying to go straight down that energy line. And it just stops naturally. And again, the weight of gravity will put the Kotegaish on itself. And again, we're going to get this nice balanced feeling. So 1, 2, 3. And now I'm feeling the ki going down. 4, 5. And then change. 1, 2, 3. So I unstretch the wrist and then I stretch the wrist. 4, 5. Great. And Sankhya said, "Nah."
Just a
Yeah,
question.
Quentin.
So when we go through these routines and we pretty much do the same thing every week.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes think, well, tonight I'm going to practice doing these exercises, thinking about the center line. Tonight I'm going to practice weight under side. Do you try and vary it up a bit?
Yes. I won't say I do that every time, but I definitely do it. Sometimes I think of one of the key principles more than the others. I would be a liar if I said I did it every night. But I do try and do the fundamentals, like sending my energy out, being relaxed, being aware of my shoulder position, being aware of my balance. So I'm trying to do all of those things. And then what you said, I do sometimes. Right. In the same way that we've had those different twists, okay, you got different twists with your wrist. So you've got warm-ups in different directions. So there we've gone fingers to elbows. Here we've gone fingers to sky. And now we've got that rotation, which is a different rotation. So you're generally warming up your wrist. Your wrist is effectively a universal joint. So you need to universally warm it up. So this time we're doing it in that rotation. So again, and you're sending your ki out, okay? So let's send it to the group. 3, 4, shoulders relaxed, 5. And then in time change, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. And now we're doing another rotation. I just said it's a universal joint, so this is a different feeling. And again, you want to relax your elbows because that puts on this feeling of ikkyo stronger. Okay, so 1, and the ki's coming up in an arc, up that straight line, over my head, 4, 5, and change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. And Yonkyo isn't really a wrist stretching exercise, but it's a mental exercise. Yonkyo is difficult for people when they first start. So you're just going to do Yonkyos, because if you can't do Yonkyo to yourself, you can't do it to anybody. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Little shake just to allow your body to limber up. It's when you're shaking, everything's relaxed. You're letting go of everything. You're sending ki out, which is a good exercise in itself. It's a mental exercise. And then it gets half smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And we were always told that it goes smaller and smaller in your mind, and you settle on your one point. And you usually feel a tingle in your fingers, which I'm sure is a physical thing of something happening to the blood. But it was always explained as, oh, that's the key. Well, I don't think that's the key. I mean, I think it's an element of truth. There's key there. But I think also it is just that you're shaking the blood at the end of your hands. Any thoughts on that one, Quen?
Yeah, I don't really think it matters. I suspect it's both. You know, I think there's always, whatever you do in the body affects the mind, and whatever you do in the mind affects the body. So,
yep, I'll go with that. Okay, so we'll do some of the stretches. Okay. So effectively, we're starting at the top of the body and we're working down through the lower limbs now. So when you're feet out in front, again, you can have slightly raised knees if you're getting old and crotchety like me. But when I was younger, I certainly had flat legs. And you're trying to lower your stomach onto your legs. You're not trying to get your head down to your knees because you're trying to keep a straight spine. And this is a good stretch. It's a good stretch for the legs. Again, I'm extending my ki naturally through my head. I'm relaxing my shoulders. A lot of people will tense their shoulders at this point. And then if you breathe, particularly if you breathe out, you can find that you'll go lower. So if you breathe in, you naturally go back a bit. And then as you breathe out, you naturally go forward a bit. So the breathing is important when you're doing these leg stretching exercises. Okay, and then come back.
Arms?
Sorry, my arms are just relaxed on my legs.
Okay.
So as I come forward, they'll naturally lower themselves down to the feet, and then I leave them there. Once I've lowered my body, my arms don't move. They're just totally relaxed, lying on my legs.
Okay, so if you watch people doing this as kind of a football stretch, they'll always have their hands up and they'll be reaching towards their toes. Why do you not do that?
Right, I don't do that because as soon as I do that, I can feel tension in my lower back, I can feel tension in my shoulders, and I can feel tension in my arms. So if I've got all of that tension in my body, then I'm not coordinated anymore. I'm not relaxed. As soon as I relax and I let my arms drop, that tension goes. So to me, that doesn't feel like a good exercise in my body. So it doesn't work for me. Okay, then we want to open our legs up nice and wide. Now this is a really important exercise because as you get older, that angle gets less and less, and I've noticed it very particularly. And it's to do with how much the hips are opening. So it's a good thing to do this stretch. And again, you're trying to lower your tummy onto your leg. I just allow my left hand, I'm going left first, just to relax, and I'm trying to lower my tummy down. I know Quentin likes to look at the other foot, and if I do that, then I'm extending my ki to the other foot. I very often will look at my left foot because I'm extending ki to there. That my intention is trying to reach out to my left foot with my head and my tummy. So then I come up, I go the other way. Again, I'm just trying to lower my body down onto my leg. My shoulders are down. My arm is relaxed. I'm extending my ki to my foot. I don't mind whether you send it to the right foot or the left foot. Both work for me. We go back to the left. I have to have my knees slightly raised now because it's really quite tense. I need to do more of these. And back to the right. Okay. Again, you can feel probably if you've stretched that it's quite tight between the legs, you know, where the hip joint is working hard. So if you put your hands on the floor and imagine you're going to try and lie your tummy on the floor and then just allow yourself to lower. Again, you're trying to keep your back straight. You're extending your key forwards and out. Your hands may slide slightly as you lower yourself. And as you breathe, you'll go down a little bit more. And then come back up. And then one more. And then come back up. And then if you put the soles of your feet together, again, you're trying to open up your hips. I absolutely do not want false hips. I'm going to try and keep my hips as flexible and as relaxed into old age as I can. So you want to be able to have lots of good movement here. Now, there are two ways. I'll do both. I quite like to place my elbows into the creases of my knees and just relax and think of ki down through my elbows into my knees, and I'm applying pressure so that my knees slowly go down to the floor. And every time it gets to a stopping point, I literally just say, relax, and then my knees go maybe another half an inch. My hips will open up another half an inch. And I think it's a good thing to do. It's a bit like the Nikio exercise. You're opening up that joint, you're strengthening that joint, you're relaxing and flexing that joint, which is a good thing. Okay? And I totally understand there's a contrary argument to this. Or what you can do is you can just flap your knees and you get a nice bounce, and you can feel as well the flex going on in your hips. And I think this is a good exercise as well, because after you've opened it as much as you can, you're now giving the hips a range of movement. And I think that's a good thing as well. So I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. I think they're both good. And then the next thing, holding your toes, again, you're going to lie your tummy down to the floor. And again, I'm sending my ki, in this instance, to my own head in the camera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, after this one, we always used to put our legs underneath ourselves and lean back. I think that's a really good one. I can't do that anymore because I've damaged my knees, so I can't do that. So I do a couple of other exercises. I interlink my fingers. It's like that. I dive forward. And now I'm working my back and I want good posture. So you imagine that someone is pulling you up by the hands that you've interlinked. So you've got a ramrod straight back. And if anyone's ever had a bad back, they often say to you, be pulled by your feet and your arms, and it stretches out your spine. So you're thinking of your ki going up, but it's not a tension stretch. It's a relaxed ki stretch. And then you pulse. And what you're doing is you're just flexing your shoulders whilst keeping your back lovely and straight. And it just feels good. I often do this is the first exercise I do when I get out of bed. So I'm a little bit stiff, and this is the first exercise I do in the morning. And I'll usually do about 25. And I just feel better for it. I feel that I've stretched my spine and I've got a little bit of relaxation into my body. Okay, great. And then you feel your shoulders have really worked. And then there's one more hip exercise I quite like, which I can't remember where I saw it. I think it was in Germany.
I think it was Jamie that gave you these.
Oh, Jamie. Yes, it was Jamie. You're right. And Jamie was that flex one as well. So you're going to be in this posture where you're supporting your hands, you're lifting your leg, you're pointing your toes as if it's going behind your bottom, and then you're pulsing. So you're kicking behind your bottom for 25. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a really gentle exercise because it's just opening up the hips in a different range of movement. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the other range is this way. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can certainly feel it in your hips and your legs. And it's not hurting, but you can feel I think it's one of those good hurts.
I find that one really difficult. That one does hurt me. Is that just because I'm not used to the...
Yeah, I think it's just you need to do it a bit more, and you'll get a bit more flexibility in your hips, Finn. It's a good one to do. Okay, we'll balance up the body, so we'll do it on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great.
So just to comment on that,
Yep.
which is those are definitely exercises that are really good for the warming the body up as opposed to key exercises, if you like.
I totally agree.
Finn, Pete is for ages, so he doesn't need to work up to that. You might want to start with 10 and build it up over a period of time so that you get to 25 and it's okay.
It's good. It's good to find areas where like the things are difficult, and yeah, that's not a movement I do, I guess. So that is.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Quentin. Thank you, because I've sort of, I may be old, but I'm reasonably fit for my age. So, and if you look at the Japanese teachers, they'll get their tummy onto the floor. I mean, Yoshi is just a little bit younger than me. He can get his legs out like that and his tummy right flat down. And he couldn't 3 or 4 years ago. So it's just practice. So, and if you look at Mariyama, he was really, really flexible because he does these exercises every day. So, if you're finding them painful, don't. They shouldn't be painful. Just lower the repetitions. But one of the things that is really important to me and is constantly being hammered by Jake, my son, if you don't use something in your body, you lose it. So it was really noticeable with our mum that as she got older and she found movement, walking, more difficult, so consequently she does less, and consequently her movement got worse and worse and worse. She went into hospital, they didn't move her at all, and the result was they couldn't take her back into the home because she could no longer walk at all. Literally, she was bedbound. So it's never been hammered home to me more forcefully than that, seeing it accelerate in literally weeks. She went from walking to not walking in weeks. Literally 3 weeks in hospital, she couldn't walk anymore. So if you don't use parts of your body, what happens is neurologically, the nerve cells which control the muscles that make your arms move, they switch off. So that's why it's really important to exercise your extremities. The reason why older people start to lose their balance is because they don't exercise enough and they aren't getting feeling from their toes, and toes are essential for balance. It's just essential. So, again, you slow down your exercise and your body just bit by bit slows down and switches things off. And I would rather go out in a blaze of glory, bang, than this, slow fading away to nothing. So for me, the warm-up exercise is really, really important. And thank you for the suggestion, Quentin, because it would never have taken 45 minutes otherwise.
Okay, so next week, the challenge is to come up with a series of other warm-up exercises, because there are many more that we do and didn't do
Yeah,
tonight.
sure. Okay.
Same thing.
Okay, that's great. So it's 1:15. What I'd quite like to do is have a little discussion. I had a thought today, and then I'm going to get Dimitra to close us out with a bit of Qigong, which last time we were here, Dimitra, we were all doing this one. Okay, can you see?
Oh, really? The
Oh,
yin
yeah.
yang one.
Yeah, the yin yang one. That is definitely my favorite. And when we were, I did a class with Dan and Adrian, and at the
Yes.
beginning of the class, we started with that one, and it's really become part of my routine now. So my question to you is, we haven't really practiced properly since March, and it's October now, so it's a long time. That's 7 months. Supposing someone were to say to you, practicing Aikido, which is close contact, close quarter exercise, is just too dangerous. We're going to make it against the law. What would you do, if anything, instead? Or what would you do?
What would I do if Aikido was
Illegal, i.e. you
illegal?
can't do illegal anymore because they say it's too dangerous, you're going to spread COVID. What would you do?
Is that a question to all of us?
Of course, it's a question to all of you. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, so
Because you know,
out in the garden this afternoon, and my walnut tree, and it's just dumped barrel loads of walnuts on the ground.
Yeah.
So I had to pick them all up and throw away the shitty coatings, etc.
Yeah.
So as I'm raking, I'm thinking about moving from my center and stuff like that, and aware of my posture as I'm trying to pick up the walnuts whilst kneeling down. So I would just practice the principles in physical exercise, but also translate those principles into how I engage with people. I just practice in the rest of life.
Yeah. Okay. So, would you do any other physical activity to replace the rolling, the yukami, the actual physical exercise of 2 hours of practice?
I'll probably do a bit more yoga.
Okay. Okay. The other three, what would you do if you couldn't do Aikido? Is there anything that you could think of that you would like to do instead?
well,
Oh, really?
is that a question to all of us?
Hold on. Let's go. Dimitra first, then Colin. Dimitra, what would you do?
Because just to make something clear here, because for me personally, Aikido and Tai Chi and Qigong are very interconnected inside me.
Yes.
So there's so many similarities. So I cannot separate the three of them.
Okay.
For example, in Tai Chi, because of COVID, I just started my Tai Chi classes here yesterday in Athens.
Yeah.
The school opened up again according to the law.
Yeah.
And I just had a class with the beginners. But yesterday, with the more advanced people, they prefer and we practice in the park. But what I wanted to emphasize is that some of the body work that we work in with partners, that we used to touch before and do exercises now, it was a big challenge because we began to do them in the same way, using our energy and extending the ki, but without touching the other person.
Yeah.
So, and we found out that in this way, we develop more the awareness of the energy, of understanding the intention of the energy of the other person. For example, we do the same movements, but without touching. And this reminded me, because a few years ago, I happened to see with a video in an all Japan Aikido demonstration from different dojos in Japan. I don't remember his name, but I saw a sensei, an old Japanese sensei of Aikido. He demonstrated with one of his ukes, and he was doing actually that. He had practiced the extension of his keys to such an extent that he was not even touching the other person.
Yes.
So his partner, his uke, was moving around without touching him.
Yes.
They had such a synchronization between them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that also. Colin, what were you going to say?
Well, I would probably practice as well, because I'm trying to learn the sword form as well, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But I must admit, what we were doing over the summer on the Mondays, the Joe and the Bokken, I really enjoyed that. So for me, going through those moves gave me an awful lot to think about. Again, with the Joe and the Bokken, it's about posture and how you move will influence also how you're using the Joe and the Bokken. So, yep.
I have to say, Colin, honestly, I was so impressed with how well you did, and also how well the others did. It was within weeks you were so different, and the fact that you learned those forms, I know it took 2 or 3 months, but that was really impressive. It was great, actually.
I think that comes down to what Mary Heine was saying. With her two sort of talks, she trained every day. With those, the Bokken kata and the Joe kata, I can practice those without anyone else being around. So
yes.
Every morning I was just getting up, going outside. I don't know what the neighbours thought. And just standing in the middle of the road and going through those moves. And every time I did it, because with Tai Chi as well, it's, and I think this is true for Aikido as well, every time you practice, you learn something new.
Yes.
So, which was why I had loads of questions the following Monday, because I'd done something with the Bokken. It's like, well, should I be pushing my weight forward as I bring the thing down, or should I be neutral? Where's my weight in between the 2 feet?
Yeah.
So, and that all just came from me being able to do everything on a daily basis, which is what I was doing.
Well, it really showed. Finn, have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, that's interesting provocation. I'm thinking I'm probably wrong about this, but things like capoeira and Tai Chi, were they not responses to actual martial arts in fact being banned? Capoeira was developed when slaves were forbidden for practicing.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but you're right. So this has been banned, and we're not allowed to touch. So have you got any thoughts as to anything that you might do instead?
Yeah, just sort of take that ban and play with it, and reconnect with all these other areas that I'm trying to connect everything together with, and usually battling against. So that if I'm doing music, I'm thinking about what about my Aikido. If I'm doing Aikido, I'm thinking but what about my music? But actually, in actual fact, they're all different aspects of the same thing. I'm just trying to actually concentrate on the thing rather than everything around the thing that's noise or distraction. And playfulness as well. So thinking of the capoeira and play fighting, every time there's a war, or why on earth do people feel the need? But then it's just universal throughout the animal kingdom, isn't it, to play and to fight. Yeah. And when people are playing politics just now, everything seems like a game. But just try to play well, try to play better.
Yes.
Play for good.
Well, for me, I've been hugely influenced, Dimitra, by Chu. I think he's a marvelous man, and I've really enjoyed the time I've spent online with him. And I would definitely spend more time doing Tai Chi Qigong, because I can do that, and I can do it on my own, and I can keep the principles of Aikido going, but I can do that solitary movement, and I don't need another person per se. And then probably to make up for the calisthenic exercise, the aerobic exercise, I'd probably do more cycling, just to give my legs a bit of a workout. I've just bought an electric bike, and as some of you know, I live on top of a very, very steep hill. So when I was young, I could get up the hill on my own, but now I need a bit of battery power. Okay, shall we pass over to our Dimitra Sensei, who's our Qigong teacher?
Just because today my computer broke down and I'm using my mobile phone, so I can see. Do you see me now?
Yeah, you're absolutely fine. You're absolutely fine.
All right. So I imagine, Piers, that since you have been doing the yin yang for quite a long time, maybe you don't want to repeat that today, right?
Actually, no, you're not at all correct. I would like to do it more because, you know, if you think about it, I've been doing this for less than a month or 4 or 5 weeks, and Chu has been doing it for 40 or 50 years, and I bet he would go, there's always something to learn. So I would be interested in doing it again and maybe getting another take on it, or something you want to emphasize.
Okay, so we can go to position. We can start a triangular position, left foot forward.
Yeah.
We come to position. Knees are slightly bent, and we ground our energy down to the earth, connecting, good base. And then inhale, open up, and exhaling, we embrace the circle of infinity. The shoulders are down and dropped, and the elbows are dropped. And then we connect with our dantian. So we connect with the lower part of the body and the feet and the base. And that's opening, opening. While we're inhaling, and then before the shoulder blades close, when everything is open, then we bring the palms together and we close the circle. And then moving forward, our dantian moves forward and extending the energy from the center of the palms. Here we activate the center of the palms that corresponds to the pericardium meridian. So this is what the center is activated while we do the yang movement forward. Then yang changes to expansion of space, breathing in, receiving. And when yin is full, it changes to yang and linear movement forward, giving. And when yang is full, before we lose our center, it changes to yin again. So it's like we're able to magically manipulate space with our hands, creating a big circle, expanding space, enclosing, contracting, linear yang movement, contraction, forward, giving, and receiving. The lungs open, the rib cage expands, and then extending forward. Normally, when we do this with Aikido, it's more effective because we totally concentrate on the energy and the movement. And then breathing in and breathing out, we step and change. We have right leg on in the front.
So with the breath, is there a period where you're just holding your breath? So as we open, we're breathing in. For me, I holding, then out.
The holding is very little, Quentin. Here it's always breathing. This is breathing in. And the holding here is in the chains and breathing out. The holding is maybe 2 seconds. But we have a very deep and long breathing in. Slowly. In Qigong, to have a long, slow in-breaths. All this is in-breath, hold, and exhale. Inhale. Hold on the change from yin to yang, and exhale. Hold and exhale. And last one. Here, Hugh the other time emphasized, he talked about, in the seminar content, about excess yin and excess yang, and less yin or less yang as it is expressed in the movement. And sometimes in the dojo, we can see people, for example, if I move on the side, for example, as we are in kami position, this could be considered yin. When we're out of center, receiving too much, we're out of center, and this is like excess yang. When again we move too much, then we're again out of our center. We've lost our center. So intuitively, the body learns to know where yin is full and needs to change into yang, and when yang is full. And this is very practical in martial applications when we have a partner, and the body automatically learns how to feel how much we can yield and retreat and how much we can move forward without losing our center.
So just to clarify, is the yin when you breathe in and the yang when you give?
Yes.
Okay.
The yin is connected with expansion of space, opening, expansion of space. It's connected with the quality of receiving an energy, hope that is coming towards you, welcoming an energy that is coming towards us. And then the yang is connected with linear movement, contraction of space, and giving energy forward to the other person, or to space, giving energy forward. So yin considered with a circular movement and expansion of space, and yang with a linear movement and contraction of space. That we see all the time in Tai Chi and Aikido. This is happening all the time. Expansion of space and contraction of space. In all the different applications, we see that all the time. It's just that we don't, in Aikido, sometimes we don't look at it this way, but it happens all the time.
Yes.
I will be looking at it from now on when I'm allowed back on the mat.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, really interesting. And
then,
actually, I just want to say, yes, you moved me on a bit. One, you reminded me about closing my eyes, and when you close your eyes, you really can concentrate on the energy more. And two, you expanded on the yin is this, and that's the yang. And you know, so absolutely. I mean, remember, I'm a white belt at this, so you know, I've got an awful long way to catch up.
But you know, I think for both Aikido and Tai Chi practitioners, I think it's a wonderful homework exercise to do every day, to do this with eyes closed, because when we work with eyes closed, we discover more and more subtle qualities of the movement itself that we don't see and don't feel when we have the eyes open. We discover the right moment that the energy needs to change from yin to yang. And something also important that you also emphasized is during the yang expression of the movement, when we send the energy forward in a linear way, we should never lock our elbows, because automatically when we lock the elbows, the shoulders are locked and the energy is locked. And then when the elbows are locked, there's no power. We see that the yang is full when the elbows are not locked. When the elbows are locked, there's no power. So Q was also saying, in terms of yin and yang, when the yin begins, the process of yin, of expansion begins, he used to say, beginning of yin, middle yin, full yin. And when yin is full, it needs to change. And then you used to say new yang, middle yang, full yang. And when yang is full, it needs to change, because if from full yang you go forward, you fall, you lose your center. So when you feel that yang is full, it needs to change at that very second. When yin is full and you keep expanding and receiving, you have a sense of suffocation in the lungs and the chest area, and you just lose your center. So with eyes closed, we can really feel the movement of change from yin to yang without any doubt, because the body has a certainty inside that this is the moment of change. It's very important. Beautiful exercise for both Tai Chi and Aikido practitioners.
That's great.
Because it helps on the work with a partner. It helps work in a part, because we do work with alone and with partner. And the most difficult part is when we do this exercise with a partner with eyes closed. Both partners have eyes closed.
If you're doing this as a paired exercise, would you both be doing the yin at the same time, or would one be doing yang as the other's doing yin?
Exactly, Quentin. As you said, is at one time before, Anita and Laura were doing this. When one is yang, the other is yin. When one is opening like a circle, the other is going into yang. It is like when I'm yin, my partner is yang. When I'm yang, my partner is yin. But the most difficult thing is when you start doing this with eyes closed, both partners eyes closed, then you really start developing your awareness and intuition of space. Of course, it will happen that you will, touch the other person's. There will be non-synchronicity in the beginning, but as you keep on practicing with eyes closed, you develop synchronicity. Start feeling with eyes closed when the other person is entering your space. It happens. It just needs time and practice. But the most difficult part of it is to do this with a partner and both have their eyes closed. And it's very interesting. Then you really start to develop a sense of space around you, what is happening around you with eyes closed. Yes.
I was just going to say, on a lighter note, if you have Netflix, there's a series called Cobra Kai, which is Karate Kid 30 years on when they're adults. And it's actually quite fun, and all these concepts are in there.
What is the title of that?
Cobra, like the snake, Kai,
yes.
K-A-I. So it sounds a little silly, but actually it's quite a fun series.
Wow, I will look for that. Yeah, okay. And now, also another beautiful exercise, I did that once in a previous, is it comes from the form. It is a Qigong that is also part of the form, the kata, the Chinese form. I will show it first. You can see me? Yep. We can do it both. Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
We can do it both in movement and in first I will show it in static movement. We can stay in Kibadachi position, and then both arms in front of the central axis, and then I will just show once. I move all my weight and my center to the right. Feeling, opening, inhaling and exhaling. Palm pushing forward. And then the left, shifting the weight. Inhale, exhale. So the movement is, the difficulty in the movement is that, let's say the right arm that is totally relaxed can go up this way from the shoulder, or it can be totally relaxed and we just push on the empty space between the body, the arm, and then like a balloon that is inflating, we inflate with our mind this empty space, and then the arm is rising up to the shoulder without, like with the expansion of space, without any tension from the shoulder. And all this is inhale, and then we finish the inhaling, bring the elbow back, and then exhaling with the center of the palm, we push the energy forward. And then the left arm, inhaling, of space, sends the arm up, elbow back, and exhaling, we extend the energy forward. Inhale. So the inhalation lasts for 2 movements, and exhalation 1 movement. Inhale. Like in Aikido, when in the beginning we can practice big movements, and those big movements, they can be condemned to small circles. It's the same. For example, in a practice, this big movement, 1, 2, 3, when it comes to a real, it can be a small circle like this. 1, 1, 1. And then the second part of the exercise of the Qigong is a small circle. Instead of doing all this opening, it's a small circle and then entering. But from the center, not from our center. Then the second part of this exercise is what the other hand is doing. While one hand is just rising, expanding, opening, and doing this big movement, the other hand at the same time is doing a very small semi-circle, ending up grounding to the earth. So the actual movement in totality in Qigong and in the form goes like this. Both arms are synchronized. One is doing a big movement, the other is doing a small movement. But the one that really saves our face from a punch is this small circular movement that touches the attacking hand, the Qi, and then grounds it down to the earth without blocking it, just grounds it down to the earth, while at the same time, the other hand is entering on the face. So for me, it is my most, it's so simple it's a movement that it's a beautiful Qigong, and also at the same time, any linear attack towards our body can be dealt with this movement, which is like 1. We can imagine and linear energy coming towards our body, and then with this half circle, we go to grip them and ground the attacking hand, while the other hand at the same time goes forward to the face. And then, like in Aikido, we always have a choice. Either you just warn, this can be a warning, or it can really it can kill, or it can really break your neck. Really break a neck, this one. But it can just be a warning in front of the face, of course. But it's a very, very efficient way of grounding any linear attacking energy towards this grounding. Very simple. Sometimes you don't even touch, you don't grab, you just ground. Sometimes when it's hard, you need to grab and ground. But for me, the most beautiful part is the Qigong, because Now we practice it in a standing position, in still position, but in the form, it has movement. It goes like this. You walk in front.
It's ghostly.
It is very beautiful. It is very beautiful.
It is.
Yes, very practical for any kind of linear attack, either a bottle or whatever, any cheeky attack, any kind of linear attack towards us can be dealt with in this very, very practical way. And I would also like to do with you the last one, the white crane spreading its wings, if you would like to do that. So we start from our center. We shift the weight to the right foot. The left heel is raised. All the energy is at the center. And from the center, we just expand. Expanding, opening, inhaling. So it's expansion of space. Take the arms upward without any tension in the shoulders. And then exhaling, we bring our center down, our base down, and concentrating, connecting all the energy in front of the central axis and tongue. Like we gather here. And then again, shift the weight back. And from the center, like we inflate the space, opening. Expansion and contraction. Back to the thing. From the center, we open. So the energy goes all the way to the tips of the fingers and goes down. One more time from this side, breathing in. And then we change, we shift the weight on the left foot, the right foot is released, and we change. Inhaling. The energy all the way up to the tip of the fingers. Long in-breath. And last one. From here, we finish with the three centers, and we say the three Tantien, lower Tantien, middle Tantien, and upper Tantien. The Indian 7 chakras in Chinese and Japanese, they have it condensed them in 3 centers, belly, heart, and mind, and the head. So we breathing in, we connect, we touch the hara, the Tantien area in the body. And then breathing out, we let the energy sink down, connecting with the earth. The second, breathing in, we touch the middle dantian, the heart area. And breathing out, we expand, open. Actually, it's connecting with the energy of universal compassion. And then the third, breathing in, we touch the frontal lobe, the frontal part, the head. Breathing in, like the center of thought, of intellect. And then breathing out, we start creating a space, expanding. It's like connecting with a space that is beyond thought, connecting with void. And then we can stay, if we stay with the shoulders dropped and the elbows dropped, really connecting with the huge empty space above the head, we can stay there in static Qigong for quite a long time if the shoulders are dropped. And it's like a standing meditation, because we notice that when we do the Qigong, the mind stops running. It has a tendency to be still. So in our everyday practice, we can stay there as long as we like and we enjoy. And then for closing, we bring the 2 feet together. We connect the hands on top of the head, above the crown of the head, inhaling. And exhaling, slowly we bring energy down to the body, passing from the 3 centers, the head, the heart center, dantian, and sending the energy all the way down to the sole of the feet. Feeling a connection of the 3 centers. And we come back. Thank you, Piers.
Thank you, Dimitra. It's always a pleasure. Fantastic, thank you. And Dimitra's come straight from a Tai Chi class, so she sort of raced back to get here tonight. Thank you so much, Dimitra. It was wonderful.
That's in the Arctic or in
I
Greece?
was late because it takes 45 minutes of drive to come back home from this school.
Well, it's really appreciated. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
That was a lovely class. May I just say, Dimitri, when you were showing how a slow movement can become a quick movement, I thought back earlier when Piers, the way that you can feel the chi after you do, or you feel the tingle.
Yes.
Yes.
So just
yeah, actually, there were a number of things that you said actually that related to some of the warm-up exercises we did before you got there.
Really? Oh,
yes.
That's synchronicity. Yes.
So that was really great. Thanks, guys, for coming. It's I think this has been one of my most enjoyable sessions, and that's thanks to Quentin's challenge right at the beginning. So I'll accept the challenge for next week, Quent, and see what I can come up with. Great stuff. Lovely. Nice to see you all. Cheers, guys.
See you on Thursday at Quentin's session.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.